Welcome back to Freedom Algo. So I'm going to talk about today's price action. It is October 25th, 2024, and I'm just going to show you some of the trades that you could have had today, how the price action played out. There were some amazing scalp opportunities, some good longs that would have got you some runners here. There was also some good shorts that would have got you some nice runners with some nice movement. So I'm going to go over these and we will wrap up our Friday. So I'm already done trading for the day. I forgot to go back and look and see if there's any trade opportunities over here, but I'm gonna come back to that in a little bit. Basically, what we had was an overnight up channel that then became a wider up channel to go and fill a previous gap that we were waiting to fill. And then after it filled that gap right up here on this candle, it then kind of went sideways into a range, and now it's actually going back down because we do have a gap below us. So that's kind of how the price action is playing out. Relatively mixed trading at this point. It could become a down channel, could become some sort of a flat range. Hard to say at this point. But what we had here was this overnight up channel working up. Now, there is a shorter term. Originally I was thinking, hey, maybe it's a little spike and a wider channel here, which it does play out kind of like that. And then what ended up happening was it came up and it gave you a long opportunity here about 5:38 in the morning, my time, Pacific time. And what this opportunity was like this. You had this low here, and from this low, this is way more advanced, by the way. But it comes up and it pulls back here, and then it comes up and pulls back again, and it's basically a failed second entry short because this is a hidden second entry. Because in the overnight these candles take so long to print, if you went to a shorter time frame, like a smaller tick chart, you would actually see this as an actual pullback, like a proper pullback. It wouldn't just look like this inside candle. It would actually show you that this is actually a second entry. And that is valid in the overnight because you can see this candle was 445. This one was 457. So these candles are taking like 15 minutes or so to print. Anyway, it's failed second entry short. You enter it on the engulfing bar as a trap. So you have your stop, you have your order right here, one tick above this red bar, and you're just looking for a scalp to the high. But you actually end up getting a nice trade here that maybe gives you a runner depending on how it actually played out. I don't know that it does depending on if you entered on the engulfing bar, but it ends up being a good trade. All right, then it comes over. You have this tight little channel working, it breaks, it then turns into this flatter channel. So finally you break this up channel. So you are thinking we're going to get a new high. You get it right away. There's no trade opportunity here. There technically is a first entry pullback, second entry short below this if you look at this as a hidden second entry here, but that's kind of sideways action. And so at this point, it's just not looking that good. So then what you want to do is you want to kind of, I didn't mark this one just because of this. It's kind of tight there, kind of sideways. There's a doji. I don't like it. Comes down. You end up in this wider channel. I did like this trade, and I did take this one. I marked it as a green because you already had a new high on this up channel. You don't know for sure that you have a new up channel working, but you would have drawn it at this point, and this is kind of confirming the area. And basically what you have here is a double top. So you could look at this as a first entry, second entry long with a pretty bullish looking candle right off the 21 EMA. It's the first time that we've touched the EMA in a while. So for me, it's very likely that we at least come up a little bit here and get a scalp. You don't, it's unlikely it's just going to immediately dump and reverse there because you might get two legs to a new high. And this was really just a break and one leg up. It's not really two legs, so you might get a second leg to a new high. Anyway, you get that one. You do get a higher low here, but at this point it's sideways and there's a doji, so I don't like it. But I do like this one because what you get is a failed second entry short. So basically you have a new low here. First entry, second entry short. It's another higher low. It's higher low, still showing support along the EMA. So I'm thinking that's a pretty nice one, and that ends up being a really nice move. You might get a runner on that one. It depends on if this one comes back and actually stops you or not. I don't actually know. I don't remember. What was that? 79.25. So actually, yeah, you do get a runner on this one because you enter at 79, and then this one doesn't stop you. So you do get a runner on that one that you could ride up for a while. And if you got in that trade, you could have just rode that thing up and just kept your stop loss below the 21 EMA and just trailed this thing all the way up all day. And it would have been really awesome. You could have rode it all the way up here. Even if you just did it like that, and you just trailed it up below the 21 EMA, you would have gotten to basically 93. Yeah, so you would have gotten 14 points, and you could have taken way more than that if you just took it off somewhere up here. Anyway, you end up coming up, you get a little sideways here, and then you get this up channel working, gets a break here. You're still in this wider channel now, and at this point, it's not really touching it, but you're kind of looking still bullish here. Now, after this break of this tight channel, you get a first entry, another second entry long, and this one's a trap. So this one, you could enter on the engulfing bar. It's almost a full red, so you could enter this one tick above this at 94. So you could have entered it there, or you could have waited for it to close and still enter it up here. Either one is valid. I entered this one at 94 on the engulfing bar, so I was in this one at 94. And then I just rode this thing up, and that was a nice one for me. I ended up scalping 4 ticks, and then I took the rest off at like 2.5 points, I think, which was perfect because I got out on this candle kind of near the close of these right here. I think that's pretty much where I got out. And then basically it ends up being a trap anyway because the next candle ticks up once, ticks down once, goes sideways, and then dumps. So that ends up being a double trap candle right there. And then we start going sideways. We break out of this channel. So you're still thinking we're probably going to get a new high from this wider channel. And as that played out, the way I looked at this was right here, you do get a possible trade here because at the time you would have had a range that you would have drawn from these highs to these lows. So you would have drawn this range out, something like this. Basically something like this. And this is how it would have been drawn at the time. And you could have seen this as basically a 1, 2, 3 triple test. And even if you look at those lows, it's even more than a triple test. And it's a nice bullish bar. It's below the EMA, but still the EMA is sideways now. And you're thinking, we still need a new high. It could be a range. We could be looking for the highs. And if you caught that one, you would have caught a nice runner on this one as well. Most likely you got a runner there, depending on how that one played. Because I think what happened here was it went up, it came down, and then it went up. So I think you get a nice runner on this one, most likely. And then over here, you now have the range. I drew the range. I moved the range at that point. And then you start trending a little sideways here, but I like this one. You have a new high, and what you get here is a first entry long. It then gets sideways and comes down and gives you a second entry long that's also a trap with this engulfing bar. So at the time, you would have been thinking there was, if you did have your range drawn something like this, it's pretty tight here. But with the way that it was moving, you probably would have moved your range up. I had moved it up like this. So I knew that I had room to the high, and it was probably going to come up and trap a bunch of shorts there. With the way that that thing formed and how it basically was this fully square or rectangular bar that then broke below and then broke above right away. I liked that one. And it ends up being a double trap here because it basically ends up being a second entry long that gives you your scalp. And then it's actually a failed second entry long that ends up going lower and confirms this downward trend line. So at this point, you could have taken this both directions. You could have scalped out fully, and then you could have actually entered it after this bar closes when this one kind of comes down and breaks below. You could have entered that as a failed second entry short, and that would have been a nice trade as well. So you could have actually, that's one of those rare cases where you could get both sides of the trade, and it would have worked out totally fine. Comes down, gets here. And I like this one because what you get here is now a really obvious 1, 2, triple test that's actually a higher low than this one, and it's a trap again. So this one breaks below this red bar and then rushes up. I only like this one if you entered it on the engulfing bar 1 tick above this. I only like it then. Otherwise, it wouldn't have worked out for you. Then it's a down channel that works. It breaks out of the down channel, and you get a really nice, another second entry short that's a trap here. At this point, I had my range moved down to the lows here of right there. And so what you get here is you have this down channel, so you're expecting a new low. You do come out up in this up channel, and you watch it, and you go, first entry short, pull back, engulfing bar, second entry short. It's pretty much an engulfing bar. You enter 1 tick below the lows right here, and you get filled really quickly, and it doesn't really give you much heat. It just kind of goes. And the reason I liked it was a close outside of the range again. So to me, it's looking like, hey, the range might not hold here and it's probably going to make a new low. It doesn't make a new low, but it gives you your scalp. So you get your scalp, maybe a little more than a scalp there, and then it ends up reversing back into the range for another try, which does happen sometimes. This up channel, the way it played out, even though this was a new high and a close all at once, sometimes you get that other leg, and that's the other leg right there. Then it finally goes bearish. And at this point, it's, I don't think that you could really play this as the wide channel and say that this was the high. It doesn't really fit very well. I did draw this right before. It looks like maybe there's some sort of it could be possible that there was a channel that looks like this, something like this, and then it's a break and then another new low, so a second leg down. Basically, you could kind of start to measure this. It's probably going to try to fill that gap. That's my guess here. It looks like that's what it's doing. So there is some space down there. Now you could also go here, and it could really be just a slightly wider channel. I mean, it's still not even wide. This is a strong, strong trend. So if you know what's going on here and you see this thing going down, you were looking for that new low, then as you kind of got these, you could actually take there's a first entry here, pulls back, second entry, long, that fails right here. So that is a possible trap. I mean, you could mark this, but it's close to the low, so I don't know if you want to risk it. There is that trade, though. It is nice. Ends up coming down. You do get the break here, and you could actually take this as a first entry, pullback. It's kind of like a second entry short when it breaks below, but it's not a perfect setup, so I don't really think that there's an entry there, unfortunately. And even though this thing goes down, there's not really a way to really take this, in my opinion. So I would just say that's it. I'm going to wrap it up there. It was a great day, and I'll see you all next week.